deep within the domain of Mount Everest, where the air grows thin and danger hides at every turn. A climber named Maria Strydom and her husband Robert Gropel went on an adventure. Their mission? To conquer the mighty summit of this legendary peak. Maria Strydom was a 34-year-old teacher at Monash University in Melbourne, Australia. Maria was not only passionate about teaching finance, but also about being a vegan and climbing mountains. She had a strong determination that fueled her dreams. Maria was originally from South Africa but moved to Australia with her family when she was just 11 years old. Fate brought her and her husband Robert Gropel together while they were studying at university. Robert worked as a veterinarian in Melbourne and shared Maria's love for veganism, mountaineering, and adventure. Maria had a bigger goal than just personal achievement. She wanted to challenge misconceptions about vegans. With confidence, she said people think that vegans are weak and unhealthy. By climbing the 7 summits, we want to show that vegans can do anything and more. So Maria and Robert embarked on an extraordinary journey together. They had already conquered 4 of the highest peaks in the world: Kilimanjaro in Africa, Aconcagua in South America, Denali in North America, and Elbrus in Europe. Maria and Robert faced their biggest challenge yet: Mount Everest. In May 2016, they found themselves close to achieving their lifelong dream, a few moments away from reaching the pinnacle. With a strong determination and a high spirit, they endured countless challenges during their climb. However, as fate would have it, an unexpected twist happened. Maria began to show signs of altitude sickness, casting a somber cloud over their impending triumph. They'd spent years preparing, climbing other tough mountains, and building their strength, both physically and mentally. They knew the risks involved in climbing Everest, but Maria felt confident in her preparations. She said, "There are some dangers on the mountain that we can't control, like avalanches and ice falls. But we can't worry about that too much. The chances of those things happening to us are very small." They remembered the advice of an experienced guide they met in Alaska, who emphasized the importance of training and gaining experience for extended periods on the mountain. In April 2016, Maria and Robert arrived in Nepal, ready for their daring expedition. They joined an experienced mountaineer and guide named Arnold Koster, a well-known Dutch climber who had led successful Everest expeditions before. Starting from the south face of Everest and following the traditional south route, Maria and Robert embraced the challenges that lay ahead on this monumental climb. Maria Strydom and her husband Robert Gropel took on the famous Southeast Ridge route of Mount Everest. This route was first conquered by the legendary climbers Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay back in 1953. Scaling this dangerous path, Maria and Robert passed through different camps, taking crucial rest and adjusting to the thin air. But they knew that the path ahead wouldn't be easy. The duo faced a series of challenges, including icy falls, risky crevices, unpredictable avalanches, and strong winds. However, on that fateful Friday, May 20th, 2016, they achieved a significant milestone by reaching Camp 4 at an astonishing altitude of 7,900 meters. But the real test was still ahead. As they approached the death zone above 8,000 meters, where the oxygen levels are dangerously low, they knew they had to act swiftly and decisively to conquer the summit and make a safe descent. Carrying extra oxygen and heavy gear, Maria and Robert pushed forward, relying on their experienced Sherpa guides to navigate through the darkness. They passed landmarks like the South Summit, the balcony, and the challenging Hillary Step, getting closer and closer to their dream. However, in an unexpected turn of events, Maria's strength started to fade. Exhaustion and a lack of energy forced her to stop just a few hundred meters from the summit. Initially, Robert thought Maria was tired from the demanding climb, but it soon became clear that something more serious was happening. After seeking her permission to continue, Robert made the difficult choice to leave Maria behind and proceed toward the summit. However, the joy of reaching the pinnacle was mixed with sadness as his partner wasn't by his side. "I didn't want to leave her," Robert shared. "I wanted her to keep going. We always do everything together, and everything else we did together was much more special." Once he reached the summit, Robert wasted no time and quickly descended to rejoin Maria, who had already begun her descent. As they descended further, it became painfully clear that Maria's condition was deteriorating rapidly. Arnold Koster, the leader of their group, revealed that Maria had been doing well until they reached the balcony. After that point, her energy declined, and she made the difficult decision to turn around at the south summit at 8 a.m. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Maria's condition worsened rapidly. Between the south summit and the balcony, she became disoriented and could hardly move. Throughout a challenging night, her team made every effort to bring her down safely. Eventually, they reached the South Pole, but a helicopter rescue was only possible from Camp 3. During the night, Maria received medication and oxygen to stabilize her, offering hope for the descent the next day. However, fate had different plans. Although Maria managed to walk for a short time, tragedy struck when she collapsed on the dangerous Geneva Spur, just 2 hours from camp. Robert, desperately trying to help her, faced the devastating truth. Maria had passed away in his arms. In an agonizing moment, Robert had no choice but to leave Maria's lifeless body behind as he continued fighting the elements to ensure his own survival. The following day, Robert, now dealing with critical injuries, was evacuated by helicopter from Camp 2 and taken to a hospital in Kathmandu. Heinz, Robert's father, shared the terrifying details, saying they had to bring him down on a sled. He had high-altitude pulmonary edema. They will fly him by helicopter to Kathmandu and probably onward to Singapore or Melbourne. Fortunately, Robert was discharged from the hospital the same evening with his parents, Heinz and Patricia, having traveled to Nepal to support him during this time of immense sorrow. However, Robert's journey was far from over. Determined not to leave the country until his wife's body was recovered from the unforgiving mountain, he remained in Kathmandu, holding on to the hope of one final reunion with Maria. The brave Sherpas showed incredible courage and took big risks to bring Maria's body back from the dangerous heights of Everest. They faced many difficult challenges, but they never gave up. Their strong determination paid off, and they were able to bring Maria's body down from the dangerous summit of the mountain and hand her over to her grieving family with great care. A tragic event occurred during the Everest expedition, resulting in the loss of Eric Arnold, another climber from the Netherlands. Eric had successfully reached the summit but tragically passed away in his sleep due to the exhaustion during the descent. Maria's mother, Maratha, received the devastating news on Saturday, May 21, 2016, and desperately tried to contact the expedition to find out what had happened. Unfortunately, by Sunday morning, the heartbreaking truth had already been confirmed. Maratha expressed her immense grief on social media, calling Maria her beautiful girl. The family's sorrow was compounded by their frustration with the organizing company, Arnold Koster Expeditions. They criticized the company for not contacting the family first and voiced their anger on social media. Maria's sister, Aletta Newman, pleaded for the family to be informed so they could learn the facts. The tragic accident that claimed Maria Strydom's life deeply saddened her family, friends, and colleagues. Support and condolences poured in from all around. The Monash University community, where Maria was highly respected in the business school and academic circles across Australia, expressed their sympathy and offered support to her family, friends, colleagues, and students. Maria's loss was deeply felt. Bridget Muir, the first Australian woman to reach the summit of Everest, spoke about the profound choice climbers make to be in the mountains and emphasized the importance of respecting their decision. Understanding the pain and loss experienced by Maria's husband, Rob, and their loved ones, she offered her condolences, having gone through a similar experience herself. Robert's family also experienced profound devastation, with his father expressing their deep sorrow. As a young couple deeply in love, the tragedy had a profound impact on them. He mourned, "It's just so bad. She was such a lovely girl, an achiever in every way." Maria's mother expressed gratitude for her remarkable family and in-laws, who had come together to raise the necessary funds to bring Maria's body back home. Meanwhile, Robert Gropel carried the weight of guilt, blaming himself for leaving Maria behind when he reached the summit. In hindsight, he wished he had stayed with her, realizing that reaching the top meant nothing without her. Despite the immense loss, Maria Strydom's memory lives on, cherished by those whose lives she touched.